Kirk Cameron, a child prodigy, made his Hollywood debut at an early age, starring in various TV shows and films. Renowned for his 7-season portrayal of Mike Seaver on the sitcom Growing Pains, he also made notable appearances in films like Father Like Son and Listen to Me. However, Cameron today is less recognized for his acting credentials and is more associated with his extreme Christian ideologies. His persistent public discussions about his religious beliefs, including his views on homosexuality, have largely led to his exclusion from Hollywood. Irrespective of whether he's participating in TV interviews or using social media, Cameron persistently shares his religious beliefs and views. Kirk's early success in Hollywood was undeniable, with his talent and charisma making him a household name at a young age. However, as he grew older, his focus shifted from acting to spreading his religious beliefs. And despite the backlash and criticism, Cameron remained steadfast in sharing his faith with others. But Cameron's commitment to his religious beliefs has not only affected his career in Hollywood, but also his personal relationships. He's married to actress Chelsea Noble, who shares similar beliefs as him, and they have 6 children together. Next up, Brendan Fraser, recognized for his roles in late 90s and early 2000s blockbusters like Bedazzled and The Mummy. Brendan experienced a significant decrease in his acting roles as the 2000s progressed. Fraser attributes this downturn in his career in part to a disturbing encounter with Philip Burke, the former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. He alleges that Burke him at the Beverly Hills Hotel in 2003, and as a result of his defiance, the HFPA has seldom invited him to the Golden Globes since the incident. Burke disputes Fraser's narrative, insisting in his 2014 memoir that his interaction with Fraser was merely a wistful pinch on the behind. While Fraser acknowledges there may be other factors contributing to his diminished workload, he strongly believes his experience with Burke played a significant role. In recent years, the #MeToo movement has brought attention to the pervasive issue of sin Hollywood. Fraser's story is just one example of many where a powerful individual in the entertainment industry has used their position to exploit someone. Next, Roseanne Barr, the actress and comedian known for her staunch support of Donald Trump's presidency, has often been a contentious figure in Hollywood. However, in May 2018, Barr's typically fiery Twitter commentary crossed a line when she posted a racially offensive tweet about Valerie Jarrett, a senior advisor to former President Barack Obama. Barr soon deleted the tweet and offered an apology, but the damage was done. ABC responded swiftly by canceling the Roseanne reboot on the very same day. The president of the company tagged her comments as abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. Up next, Tippi Hedren, who embarked on her journey in the fashion industry as a model in her early 20s, but it was the iconic filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock who spotted her potential and launched her into the Hollywood limelight. Hedren's talent shone through in 2 of Hitchcock's captivating creations, the spine-chilling thriller The Birds and the intriguing psychological drama Marnie. However, the duo's professional rapport soured when Hitchcock allegedly crossed professional boundaries with unwelcome sexual advances. After Hedren decisively rejected Hitchcock and declared Marnie their final project together, a furious Hitchcock vowed to sabotage her career. He kept her tied to a contract that barred her from working for 2 years before begrudgingly selling it in 1966. Nevertheless, Hedren's tenacity saw her acting career bounce back, and she later found her voice as a dedicated advocate for animal rights. Up next, Monique, renowned comedian and actor known as Monique Angela Hicks in her daily life. First rose to fame through her hilarious stand-up shows and her unforgettable role as Nicole Nikki Parker in the popular UPN series The Parkers from 1999 to 2004, but it was in 2009 when she portrayed an abusive mother in Lee Daniels' film Precious that she truly took the limelight. Her stunning performance earned her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, setting a new pinnacle in her career. Yet, Monique's journey took an unexpected turn after her Precious triumph. In a 2015 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she revealed that her film and TV roles had dwindled significantly. She pointed to her stance during the 2010 Oscar campaign for Precious as the reason behind her decline. She even mentioned a phone call with Lee Daniels, the director of Precious, who allegedly told her that Hollywood had excluded her for not playing by their rules. Daniels later commented on Monique's allegations, vaguely confirming her statements by saying her demands through Precious were not always in line with the campaign, which caused a rift between her and the Hollywood community. Now let's talk about an actor who's been a staple in Hollywood for many years. Yes, we're discussing Isaiah Washington. With numerous notable television and movie roles under his belt, he's no stranger to the limelight. But the role that really brought him into the spotlight was his portrayal of Preston Burke in the hit show Grey's Anatomy. However, his career took a turn for the worse after he used a homophobic slur towards a fellow cast member. The incident not only led to the exit from the show, but also put him on Hollywood's blacklist. The situation was further exacerbated when he repeated the slur following a Golden Globe win for the show. Today, while he periodically appears in roles, his career never really regained the momentum it once had. For many, this incident defined Washington's career and overshadowed his previous successes. However, it also opened up a conversation about the problem of homophobia in Hollywood and the lack of consequences for those who perpetuate it. Since then, Washington has publicly apologized for his actions and has been an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Despite making a stellar comeback as a director with Hacksaw Ridge in 2016, Mel Gibson continues to remain largely ostracized from Hollywood. It's unlikely we'll witness much of his acting prowess in the future. Gibson, who enjoyed immense popularity and success as an actor and director during the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, saw his career irreparably tarnished due to a series of highly publicized meltdowns. One of the most damaging incidents involved an anti-Semitic tirade during a DUI arrest, which was widely reported and condemned globally. More than a decade has passed since the incident, and while some fans have extended their forgiveness, a significant portion can't seem to shake off the recollection of his controversial actions and words. Despite his past controversies, Mel Gibson has not completely disappeared from the industry. In 2019, he directed and co-wrote the critically acclaimed film Hacksaw Ridge, which received multiple nominations at major award ceremonies, including the Academy Awards. However, it's clear that the public perception of Gibson has greatly shifted since his heyday. He's no longer the beloved actor and director he once was, but rather a controversial figure who continues to face backlash for his past transgressions. Next, CeeLo Green first made his mark in the music scene in the mid-90s, but it was his 2010 breakout single F.U., which skyrocketed to the #2 spot on the Billboard charts, that truly stamped his name in the industry. His newfound fame opened doors to opportunities such as becoming a judge on The Voice and even landing his own TV show. However, his career took a nosedive following some highly inappropriate tweets concerning homophobia. As a result, Green faced serious backlash, losing his TV show, his position on The Voice, and even being turned away from his booked concert gigs. CeeLo Green has since apologized for his actions and has faced criticism for his lack of accountability. However, he's also received support from fans who believe in forgiveness and second chances. Now let's talk about public meltdowns, and who better to discuss than Charlie Sheen. This man, once a gifted actor and among the highest paid TV stars worldwide, is now largely known for his drug-fueled, very public meltdown a few years ago. Anyone remember #winning and Tiger Blood? He was kicked off 2.5 Men, where he was making nearly $2 million per episode. Many saw him as someone who'd clearly gone off the deep end after years of alcohol, and although he has done a bit of work since then, most organizations steer clear from Sheen and his outlandish behavior. Charlie Sheen's public meltdown is a prime example of how one's personal life can have a major impact on their professional career. Despite being incredibly talented and successful in his field, Sheen's actions outside of work ultimately led to his downfall. And last on our countdown, only about 10 years ago, Vince Vaughn was one of Hollywood's busiest actors, with a flourishing career. His quick wit and charisma made him a fan favorite, especially in numerous iconic comedies. However, his presence in Hollywood seems to have dwindled recently, suggesting that his prime time as an actor might be behind him. His overlooked status is subtle and seems to stem from his limited acting range and his political ideologies. Although conservatism isn't inherently problematic, advocating for guns in all schools as a countermeasure to mass shootings can make studios hesitant. His ability to shine has also been restricted to comedic roles, often in tandem with Owen Wilson, as evidenced by his stint on HBO's True Detective.
Number 10. Hugh Grant. Hugh may be known for being a rom-com sweetheart, but there is a ton of evidence that proves that this guy is a massive jerk. Case in point, Hugh Grant's banned from Jon Stewart's very own late night show. Grant made an appearance on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart in 2009 that did not go very well. According to Jon, Hugh wanted nothing to do with the interview, being annoyed from start to finish. He had apparently been giving the crew a hard time because food wasn't the way he liked it, his dressing room wasn't right. During the interview, Hugh actually complained about the clip that the producers had chosen to show on air, saying it was a bad clip, to which Jon said, well, make a better movie then. The interview was so bad that I actually could not find a clip of it online. It's like Hugh paid the internet to hide the clip somewhere in the cloud. So if you end up finding it, please share it in the comments. I would really love to see it. Hugh was banned from appearing on John's show ever again, something he was not aware of until 2012, posting a tweet claiming John had every right to kick him to the curb. Number 9. Vince Vaughn. It started in 2010 when Vaughn raised some eyebrows following the release of the trailer for his movie The Dilemma, when his character made some controversial comments. Electric cars are gay is something that Vince Vaughn actually says. Not that they're like homo, I don't know, he says a lot of stuff. I don't feel like quoting it, it's pretty rough. The actor uttered a lot of really just nasty things about gay people during the previews for the film, and as a gay woman and icon for the LGBTQ community, one might imagine that remark didn't sit well with Ellen DeGeneres. Although measures were taken to remove this line from the trailer, Vince doubled down on his views, claiming that the preview should just be left alone, there was nothing wrong with it, defending the line as a joke that should not have been taken seriously. Following the comments, it was reported that he was banned from Ellen's show indefinitely. The rumors took over the internet, and Vince had little to say about the ban because it was never actually a real ban. It turns out the only reason that Vaughn stopped coming onto the show was because he had nothing to promote until 2016 when he made his return to the talk show. But that does mean that for 6 years Vince Vaughn was not getting a ton of film roles, he wasn't asked to make a lot of TV appearances, and even if he did, it was in a small capacity. Eventually, the so-called ban was lifted, and Vince revealed that there was no hate between himself and Ellen. Unfortunately, Ellen did not speak much to the rumored ban, so for 6 years the world thought that he was just an outcast. Number 8. Dax Shepard. Dax is a wonderful comedian and writer, being behind some awesome movies from the past few years. Schlocky classics like Idiocracy, Employee of the Month, and the buddy comedy Without a Paddle, alongside Seth Green and Matthew Lillard. While doing promotion for that movie in 2004, Dax was invited onto The Late Night Show with Conan O'Brien. So he starts off the interview by falling over a table and knocking just a bunch of water onto Conan's floor. Great first impression. Conan then attempts to get some stories out of Dax related to the project or himself, but he instead opts to make jokes, tell Conan about a motorcycle accident he had, and improvising the DVD extras on Conan's special. If it weren't for Conan's yes and attitude, this interview would have ended in disaster. Conan later revealed that Dax had received a lifetime ban from his show, mainly due to the fact that Dax had just woken up 20 minutes before the interview had even started, after drinking no juice to the point of blacking out, which would probably explain why he's so groggy throughout like most of the interview. This ban was eventually lifted after Dax put his partying days behind him, being clean and sober now for roughly 16 years. Number 7. Madonna. Piers Morgan is a terrible man, period. He has made some racially fueled comments over the years that were so bad he eventually got kicked off of CNN, but not before he issued a public ban to pop icon Madonna. Apparently the entire feud between these two stems from an incident involving bread rolls. I guess Piers was accidentally hit by a roll that Madonna threw or something, I don't know, the full story was never actually revealed in that case. But it can't just be a bread roll, because this man spent 20 years talking trash about Madonna, calling her names that I cannot repeat online. He was always trying to egg her on, telling her managers to stop tweeting him. Well, the joke is on Piers in this situation. Not only did his show eventually get cancelled, but Rosie O'Donnell actually banned Piers from her show in retaliation. He'd visited Rosie before, in fact, her show received almost double his views at the time, but he'd never be able to leech off of her again, making this entry a double whammy. Number 6. Howard Stern. Howard Stern may have been one of the best talk show guests in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now, while he's stellar when he actually allows someone to interview him, he particularly rocked it when he was at his most outrageous. This is because he would just kinda come out and take over. He appeared on many talk shows over the years, but there was never a rivalry quite like Stern versus Jay Leno. Apparently Jay didn't want to put out an edgy show, and Howard was just all edge. During one particular appearance on the show, Jay actually sat back and watched as a guest got into a fight with Howard and his longtime radio co-host Robin Quivers. This was not only the moment that Howard was banned for creating a scene, but it was also the moment that Howard vowed to despise Jay Leno for the rest of his life. The two never reconciled, and so far, it's looking like they never will. Number 5. Adrien Brody. Now, we're gonna throw Adrien in the middle because this is not a talk show, but this moment got him blacklisted from many shows. While hosting the late-night sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live, Brody went off script in truly cringe-inducing fashion. When he came on the stage to present the musical act Sean Paul, he appeared in cartoonish dreadlocks and a tank top, using the most offensive Jamaican accent you've ever heard in your life. He was trying something that just did not work. The clip of this moment is only a minute long, but it feels like a lifetime. He was hosting in 2003, and since that live performance went south, not only has he been banned from SNL, but he's had very limited appearances on talk shows over the years. While some may claim it's due to a lack of work, others agree that wearing faux dreads and doing that on live TV is something you can't live down. Number 4. Harmony Korine. Harmony's name may not be familiar to you, but one of his movies might be. In 2012, Harmony directed a film called Spring Breakers, starring James Franco, Selena Gomez, and Vanessa Hudgens, but he's been around since the early 90s. While doing some promotions for a film in the mid-90s, Harmony got himself into a lot of trouble. He was visiting David Letterman, who claims that he caught Harmony rummaging through Meryl Streep's purse in her dressing room. Around this time, he was well known for being addicted to several illegal substances, especially spicy spoon juice, so he was doing everything he could to get his next fix. According to David, he went upstairs to greet Meryl before the show and knocked on the door. Inside was not Meryl, but Harmony hunched over a purse in the corner rummaging like a raccoon. David told him to put everything back and to exit the building as soon as possible. A lifetime ban was issued and Korine was blacklisted by fellow studios. Since then, he has been able to get clean and sober, and David issued a statement congratulating him on his sobriety and lifting his ban. Number 3. Conan. Conan O'Brien has been the host of his own late-night television series since 1993, originally hosting Late Night with Conan O'Brien before moving to his own series in 2010 simply titled Conan. The show may be a success now, but it actually comes from a feud with Jay Leno and a ban that lasted right up till 2014. One of Conan's biggest competitors on the late-night scene was Jay Leno's Tonight Show. Both shows had strong ratings and had become staples in late-night history, so when it came time to negotiate a new contract with the bigwigs at NBC, they told Conan that he would be moved to host the primetime Tonight Show in 5 years, something that he was very excited about, but something that they did not tell Jay. After the 5 years were over and the year was 2009, the decision was made to move Conan to the Tonight Show and Jay would get his own talk show. Well, the viewer numbers declined dramatically, and it was obvious that this was not going to work. An argument took place between Conan and Leno, with both men fighting for their right to host. One show was going to have to go. Well, it was eventually decided that Conan and his crew would be given $45 million to go make their own show, while Leno returned to his desk. His triumphant return in 2010 was coupled with a lifetime ban from the show while he was still the host. He has since appeared to speak to current host Jimmy Fallon, but for a long time Conan was restricted to his own little studio. Number 2. Bobcat Goldthwait. Bobcat may not be much of an actor these days, but in the 80s and the 90s, this dude was dominating the film and comedy scene. His zany brand of over-the-top high-energy performance was well received by most people who saw him. In fact, he made Police Academy even better than they already were. In the mid-1990s, Bobcat's career was at its peak, meaning that he was making appearances left and right to promote projects, and one of those promotions was on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Bobcat is already a very chaotic man, but this stunt was the stuff of legends. At one point in the interview, Bobcat pulls out a can of lighter fluid, sprays it on his seat, and sets it on fire. The reason why he set it on fire was because he was attempting to make a joke with Leno and make a memorable talk show moment. Well, he certainly did. Leno didn't think it was funny at all. He actually made Bobcat sit in the mess after he puts out the fire. The studio charged Bobcat with recklessly causing a fire along with a misdemeanor. He was ordered to pay nearly $4,000 in fines and received 3 years of probation. As you may expect, he was blacklisted from ever appearing on that show so long as Jay Leno was the host. Number 1. Artie Lange. Comedian Artie Lange was a larger-than-life performer in the 90s and early 2000s. Now, Artie wasn't just a movie star, but he was also a co-host working with radio legend Howard Stern, who, we already talked about. Artie's career has been filled with controversy and negative news, as his long struggle with substance control issues has been very well documented. The ban comes from his longtime buddy Conan O'Brien, but it's not because of some big controversy. It was actually a move designed to encourage Artie to quit. Conan made it very clear that Artie would not be welcome back as a guest until he was clean and sober. He had a rocky history when it came to talk shows, being intoxicated beyond belief for a majority of his TV spots. These days, Artie claims to be sober and has quit acting for good to focus on his mental health.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Eddie Murphy. Yes, the hilarious comedic actor has found himself in some situations that aren't so funny. If you don't know about the story that broke the news, it was Eddie Murphy being arrested in a prostitution scandal. The arrest happened back in 1997, and don't think for a second that Hollywood has forgotten about it. On May 2nd of 1997, the police pulled over Murphy's car at 4:45 after they observed that a well-known transsexual prostitute got inside. Murphy claims that he saw a person was having some trouble and pulled over to ask if they were alright. That's when the prostitute asked him for a ride and he agreed. Murphy went on the record and said, "I did nothing wrong. I was trying to be a good Samaritan and this is what happens." The prostitute was arrested but no charges were placed on the actor. Good news is some people believed his side of the story and he still went on to book some good acting roles. However, the story resurfaced in 2015 because only 1 year after Murphy had picked her up, she was dead in a very mysterious circumstance. The case was opened up again all these years later, which brought up Murphy's little run-in with her. The Lip TV posted a video about journalist Mark Ebner talking about Eddie and all his past with different prostitutions. He also shares that he met with one of the prostitutes who's been with Eddie and claims that Eddie's lawyer, Marty Singer, paid her $50,000 to change her story in the tabloids. She even had the check and records to prove it. So Eddie's reputation in Hollywood is no longer a very good one. He has booked some acting work, but nothing that puts him in the Hollywood spotlight like he used to be. At number 9 we have Paris Hilton, if you can even call her an actor. She was the big talk of the town and held a household name for her stupid saying, "That's hot." She had the title of best-selling author at one point in time and was a highly paid actress, model, DJ, and brand ambassador. But we don't quite hear about her anymore, do we? Here's a few reasons why she does not book any more of her acting roles. Well, number 1, she kinda sucked as an actor, if you're just going off of my opinion, but a big reason which caused a lot of controversy for the actress was her 2004 sex tape that went viral called One Night in Paris. Paris claims the sex tape was actually put out by her ex-boyfriend and was never meant to be seen by anyone. She says that it has completely ruined her life and is something she will have to explain to her kids one day. She also said that it gave her the title of a slut, which is why she only really booked roles like the slutty girlfriend in House of Wax who gives roadhead in one of her scenes and then dies half naked in the other. Another reason her career has been affected is because of her political views and being closely tied to President Donald Trump. She has known Trump since childhood, and Trump even took it as far as speaking about her sex tape, saying that him and his wife Melania watched it together. There's a disturbing image none of us need in our minds. And to top it all off, in 2012, a recording of Paris talking in a taxi cab was leaked and it exposed her saying homophobic comments. On the recording you can hear Paris say, "Most gay men probably have AIDS. Gay guys are the horniest people in the world. They're disgusting. I would be so scared if I was a gay guy. You'd like die of AIDS." When the scandal went public, you can imagine what it did to her career and also her reputation as a decent human being. Sliding into spot number 8 is Isaiah Washington, the actor who is known for his role on the famous TV show Grey's Anatomy. He found himself on Hollywood's blacklist after he made some homophobic comments at the 2007 Golden Globe Awards. This is what had his career come crashing down because he was already on thin ice for insulting his co-star T.R. Knight with homophobic language just a year earlier. After the incident at the Golden Globes, he was put in executive counseling, but not too long into it did Grey's Anatomy decide that he was going to be fired and his contract would not be renewed. After being fired, the actor was asked about it and he said, and I quote, "After the incident at the Golden Globes, everything just fell apart. I lost everything. I couldn't afford to have an agent, I couldn't afford to have a publicist, I couldn't afford to continue." The former television star has found a way to continue on by starring in B-list movies and any projects that he can still get his hands on. In at number 7 we have Katie Holmes, the actress who is also known as Tom Cruise's ex-wife. The actress was once in the prime of her career, booking roles in a variety of different movies. It wasn't until she began dating and then later married actor Tom Cruise that her career started to take some hits. Over the years, Cruise has faced tons of heat when it comes to his religious beliefs and his close link to Scientology. It's no coincidence that his ex-wife Nicole Kidman turned her back on him for his controversial religious beliefs as well. One of Katie's co-stars from Dawson's Creek who remained close with Katie after all those those years, says that her career had been blacklisted. They went on to tell an interviewer that her career began to take a downward spiral because Hollywood wants nothing to do with Scientology, which is believed to have skewed results of Oscar voting on more than one occasion. Some people have pointed out that no actor linked to Scientology ever wins an Oscar, like Tom Cruise himself and even John Travolta for his big role in Pulp Fiction. Not to mention Nicole Kidman was nominated but never won an Oscar while married to Cruise, but after they divorced, she took an Oscar not too long after. Coincidence? I think not. Now that Katie is divorced from Cruise, she has returned to the Roman Catholic Church she used to go to, so maybe she has time to turn it all around if she wants to. Coming into spot number 6 is Thora Birch, an actress who many of us still watch in her movie Hocus Pocus every Halloween. She began acting as a child and turned into a star in the late 1990s and early 2000s. That's when her career really took off. She received amazing reviews for her performance in the Academy Award nominated film American Beauty, and she also received a Golden Globe nomination for her role in Ghost World. The star has found herself blacklisted from Hollywood because of her difficult behavior. During an interview, when asked about her career, she said, "I pissed off a lot of people over a long period of time and they found a way to upset me, hoping that upset would bring a change in my behavior, like a distancing, but I'm done." It didn't help that a story broke the news that her father, who was her manager for many years, physically threatened one of her co-stars. That's when she was fired from Dracula, the off-Broadway revival. She recently returned to acting a little bit here and there, but it is clear she will never go on to be the star many people thought she could be. Halfway through the list at number 5 we have Elijah Wood, obviously known for his role as Frodo in the Lord of the Rings movie series. But what happened to him after that? He continued his acting career but got on the wrong side of Hollywood executives when he told the media that the film industry was full of sexual predators that targeted young child actors. Coming from one of the most accomplished child actors of his time, the accusation was damaging on his career. He went on to say that he never experienced that kind of abuse himself, but said, and I quote, "If you're innocent, you have very little knowledge of the world and you want to succeed. People with parasitic interests will see you as their prey." I mean, he's not wrong. After the comments were made, his resume began to dwindle. He began booking voiceover work instead in family-friendly movies like Happy Feet, but began to move away from acting altogether. He started to progress a career as a DJ and even started his own label called Simeon Records. Swiping our number 4 spot is actress Tara Reid. Most of us girls will know her from her role in the movie Josie and the Pussycats, and most guys will know her from the American Pie movies. The actress was once very successful, finding her way to play the hottie in most of her movies. She did go on to land a role in the TV series Scrubs, which allowed her to show her talent outside of the comedic movies we always see her in. However, it wasn't long after she left the show in 2005 did she find herself caught up in hard partying, negative publicity, and awful plastic surgeries, which is a shame because she was naturally a very pretty girl. All these things have been enough for studios to have been turned off from casting her, and she now finds herself booking a lot of smaller roles in short films and other projects. Here we are at number 3 with Kirstie Alley. Towards the end of the 1980s, she was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She received a ton of recognition and praise for her role as Rebecca Howe in the TV series Cheers, even winning a Primetime Emmy for her performance. She also won over the hearts of millions of American males with her stunning good looks. However, she struggled to remain relevant after Cheers came to an end, and some personal troubles led her to gain a significant amount of weight, to a point where she was barely recognized. It also didn't help that she was also closely linked to Scientology, which she sacrificed a lot of personal relationships for. As a result of joining the religion, reports say that many of Hollywood's executives avoided doing any business with her because they feared they would also be labeled in connection to Scientology. For years her career took a hit, and to most of us she kind of just fell off the face of the earth. A few years ago she began a Weight Watchers program and lost some weight, and even landed a smaller role in the TV show The Scream Queens. But that was in 2016, and she has nothing on her IMDb resume ever since then. Alright guys, taking the number 2 spot on our list is Brendan Fraser, known for his role in Bedazzled and The Mummy. He was once a very popular actor that many fans adored, but during the 2000s his career started to fade out, and a lot of people were wondering why. Just last year, Brendan opened up to GQ for an exclusive interview talking about what happened over all of his absent years. He opened up about his depression after his mother's death, which led to an unhealthy lifestyle and weight gain. It wasn't until this interview that he opened up about about a sexual assault incident he faced with the former HFPA president Philip Burke back in 2003. He said he held it in for all these years but felt inspired by the current Me Too movement that is going on right now. Brendan said that the HFPA has never invited him back to the Golden Globes ever since the incident surfaced, and he also says no major productions are willing to hire him either. Taking our number 1 spot is Megan Fox. Director Michael Bay's first Transformer movie is what turned Megan Fox into an instant star. From then on, Men's Magazine couldn't get enough of her, and directors rushed to cast her in any upcoming action films and other projects. Let's face it, she was one of Hollywood's biggest hotties. When her feud with Michael Bay went viral and caused the majority of Hollywood to strike against her. The feud between the two of them was heavily documented, and the world was thrilled to watch it all go down. It was by 2009 when the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen came out, and that is when the tension really surfaced. It got so bad that Megan called the director a Nazi and told Wonderland magazine that, I quote, "People are well aware that this is not a movie about acting. He wants to be like Hitler on his sets, and he is." She was part of the rehearsal process for the next movie, Transformers Dark of the Moon, but was fired from the movie after the Hitler comment. Bay admitted in an interview that Steven Spielberg said fire her right now after he heard the horrific comment. She went on to act in movies such as Jennifer's Body, which was a box office bomb and earned a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. After that, she was casted in Passion Pit, which earned just 3%. I honestly think that's the lowest rating I've actually ever seen on there. Apparently she's in a movie called Zeroville that's expected to come out this year, but it was directed and created by James Franco, who's also been blacklisted in Hollywood. At least they can all work together and create their own movies, I guess. Starting off our list at number 10 is Kathy Griffin. The successful actress got herself into a lot of trouble when she posted an inappropriate picture back in 2017. She decided to team up with Tyler Shields to do a very controversial photo shoot of her holding a decapitated bloody head of Donald Trump. Of course it was just a mask, but the image was so real and graphic that sites had to blur it and block it from their sites. When she first posted it to Twitter and saw people's horrified reactions, she began to tweet out that she went too far and she will be removing the picture. But a site came forward saying that Griffin and Shields were joking on set of the photo shoot, saying after the photos were released they would need to move to Mexico because they would be put in prison. She took down the picture and apologized for offending people. But months later she took her apology back and told the Rolling Stone, and I quote, "I'm not sorry, I take the apology back 1000%. The actress has received death threats and hate mail and was put on a no-fly list after undergoing 2 months of federal investigation. Her last TV booking was in 2016 before the controversy, and the only thing she has coming out in 2019 is a TV movie called A President Show Documentary, The Fall of Donald Trump. She just doesn't know when to call it quits." At number 9 we have Roseanne Barr. The actress, writer, and producer lost her career after racist tweets were sent out by her speaking about Barack Obama's advisor, Valerie Jarrett. The tweet was a racist statement comparing Valerie to an ape. After the tweets were sent out and the controversy quickly started in 2018, ABC cancelled its successful reboot of her show called Roseanne. ABC went on to reboot the series without her. Barr has now painted herself as the victim, saying that she was fired because of her support for Israel and that the network was looking for an excuse to fire her. Not too long after, she started making another excuse and blamed her co-star Sarah Gilbert for being the reason her sitcom was cancelled. The actress has not found work since, and the only publicity she's getting is interviews about the racist tweet and her crumbling career. Swiping the number 8 spot is Jamie Lynn Spears. Yes, Britney Spears has a little sister, and she was once a Nickelodeon star with her own show called Zoe 101. She played the title character Zoe, who had a super fun and innocent life at a posh boarding school, unsupervised without her parents. Young fans adored her and her carefree, innocent lifestyle, but apparently the actress wasn't so innocent while off camera. She caused a major controversy when she got pregnant at the young age of 16. Not long after the announcement, Nickelodeon cancelled the show, which also meant her other co-stars lost the show with her. The once actress became a mom, got married, and then gave up her acting dream and turned into a country artist instead. She's now pursuing a career as a country artist and said she has no interest in returning to acting. She might not get very far anyway, since the only thing on her acting resume was Zoe 101. In the number 7 spot is Matthew Underwood. He was one of the co-stars on Zoe 101, where he played the troublemaker boy Logan Reese on the series. He continued with his acting career after the show ended, but in 2012 he got into some trouble. The actor was arrested after police searched his home and found marijuana and other drug paraphernalia. During the home search, search, he was also reported to be found in the home's master bedroom with a 17-year-old girl. This was a problem because he was 22 at the time and she was legally underage. He was let go and put on probation, but a few months later was arrested again outside a hookah lounge for violating his probation. The actor has remained out of the headlines since that final arrest and also has remained out of the Hollywood acting industry. Coming in at number 6, we have Dane Cook. The comedian's career took off with his stand-up comedy talent, but also headed into the direction of acting. He made his first on-screen appearance in the movie Employee of the Month, where he starred next to Jessica Simpson. Unfortunately, his first major role was a flop and the movie received 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. He tried to make a comeback when he took on a major role in Good Luck Chuck. The movie was given horrible reviews and received just a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. He continued to try and book acting roles, but fans were not thrilled about it and often said he should just stick to a stand-up comedy. He is a funny guy, don't get me wrong, but there's more to acting than just being funny. Not only were his movies a flop, but his comedy took a hit after he made an inappropriate joke back in 2012 about a mass shooting. He made a joke referencing the shooting that happened in Colorado during the screening of The Dark Knight Rises. The actor apologized later for his jokes, but some people weren't so forgiving. Lately, he's also caught up in another controversy by people judging him for dating a girl who is only 19 years old. They began dating when she was just 18 years old and he was 45 at the time, and the two have continued dating for over a year now. People have had no problem voicing their opinion on the 26-year age gap. Dane is making a comeback though in comedy by doing a comedy tour this year. He admits that he will be sticking to comedy and that acting is in his past. I think it is best that that stays in the past. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Jenette McCurdy, a young actress known for her supporting role on the show iCarly. When the successful series wrapped, she got a starring role on Nickelodeon's Sam and Cat. Things for her career seemed to be going great. This was until 2014 when nearly nude pictures of her leaked online. Tensions ran high between the actress and Nickelodeon, and she even skipped the network's 2014 Kids' Choice Awards. She took it to Twitter to blame Nickelodeon, claiming that the network had treated her badly. The leaked photos turned into a huge scandal that involved Detroit Pistons basketball player Andre Drummond. Apparently, the two of them had a short-term fling, and when it ended, she humiliated him on a podcast interview. Only a few days later, her pictures were all over the internet, and she claims that it was him. She took it to Twitter and said, "To anyone disappointed, I sent those pics to one person. You can connect the dots. Shocked someone would stoop so low." The actress left Nickelodeon and tried to continue with her career, where she was able to book some smaller roles. Since 2016, she has only booked a few short films. She does do YouTube videos for her fans and continues to try and be a social media personality instead. At number 4, we have Ryan Rotman, who began his career playing Joey Colvin in the series Gigantic. His work led him to dating Victoria Justice, who was the star of Victorious. The two were a power couple for young fans, but after the relationship fizzled out, Rotman got into some trouble with the law. In 2011, police officers spotted his car was jumping a curb, so they pulled him over. The cops smelled alcohol and he brutally failed a sobriety test. The actor blew .19 on the test, which is more than double the legal limit. His show was cancelled and he was charged with a DUI. Once he faced the court and things settled down, he continued to pursue his acting career. He's been able to book short films and small TV roles, but nothing has brought him back to the big screen. One can only imagine where his career would be now if he didn't get that DUI. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Rupert Grint, our beloved Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter movies. The actor got his big break in the industry when he was just 11 years old. The gig, which ran the course over a decade, secured his place in the film world. He earned the title of one of history's most famous child actors along with his other co-stars. After the 8th and final movie, fans expected Grint's career to take off given his successful position. Instead, he didn't really do much at all. One of the main reasons being that in between the Harry Potter movies, the actor kind of took it easy. Unlike his co-stars Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, who were booking other movies in between. Throughout the entire series, he only booked 3 indie projects, missing out on a huge opportunity to showcase his acting skills. Not to mention his indie products all received horrible reviews. Turns out the actor wanted to quit acting. In 2017, he told Entertainment Weekly, and I quote, "When I started, acting was never something that I aspired to do. I fell in love with it while I was doing it, but I definitely did think, is this really what I wanted to do?" He went on to say that he felt like he missed out on a lot of life and wanted to just be free and live a little bit. When he did ease back into acting, no one really noticed. He's been able to book some smaller roles, but no movies that have brought him back to the big screen. At number 2, we have Jack Gleeson. The young actor played Joffrey Baratheon in HBO's Game of Thrones. He played the character from 2011 to 2013 2014, but after the boy was killed off the show, Gleason decided he wanted to step away from acting. He was in the prime of his career but went on to tell interviewers that he didn't want to be in the spotlight and wanted to go back to school. During an interview he said, I quote, "I hate celebrity culture." He returned back home and is now a part of his Dublin-based theatre company called Collapsing Horse. So even if Hollywood wanted a part of him, he wants no part of Hollywood. Taking our number 1 spot is Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. The actor was huge for this character during the 80s as he took on 2 feature films and also a Emmy-winning children's TV series. But his image and also his career changed drastically in 1991. During a visit with his parents in Florida, he was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater because he was spotted masturbating during the movie. He was 38 years old at the time and pleaded no contest and agreed to take part in a new anti-drug campaign to avoid a trial on the misdemeanor charge. After the scandal, Pee-wee toys were pulled from shelves across the nation and Reubens hid from the public eye, pretty much disappearing for the remainder of the 90s. He attempted a comeback, but more charges of sexual nature were brought against him, this time relating to child pornography. Officers seized thousands of items from a collection of vintage gay erotica and also faced claims of owning sexual images of children. It took yet another decade for him to come back to Hollywood, which he did in 2016's Netflix film Pee-wee's Big Holiday. He did receive some positive responses from fans, but also received a lot of negative as they didn't agree with the decision to bring him back. There's really no way he will ever make his mark in the industry again. Starting off our list at number 10 is Roseanne Barr. The actress and comedian is known for her work, but also known for being a supporter of Donald Trump being president. Other Trump fans will back her up, but she has been one of Hollywood's most controversial figures who went one step too far back in May 2018 when she sent out some racist tweets. Her tweets were about Valerie Jarrett, a senior advisor to the former president Barack Obama. In her tweet, she compared Valerie to a cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and the movie Planet of the Apes. After seeing the backlash she received for the racist tweet, it was immediately deleted and she issued an apology. However, it was already way too late for that and she was just trying to save her career. ABC cancelled her show called Roseanne, which was supposed to reboot the same day. ABC's president called Roseanne's tweets, and I quote, abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. Since then, as of January of this year, 2019, her Twitter was off limits and she moved into her mother's basement in order to get out of LA. She said she has a fear that everyone hates her and she blames ABC for ruining her life rather than having her back. Apparently her tweet was just a joke. She's a comedian, but Hollywood's blacklist isn't seeing it the same way. At number 9 is Martin Lawrence. The comedian hasn't been completely blacklisted from all of Hollywood, but he has been banned from one of the most popular comedy shows on television, SNL. You can imagine what kind of damage that would do to a comedian's career, and you can also imagine what he had to have done to be completely banned from the show. Apparently, back in 1994 when he hosted SNL, he decided to go a little bit off topic in his opening monologue. We don't know what he originally had planned, but we are all still hoping it wasn't what actually came out of his mouth. In his monologue, he went on a rant making disgusting remarks about the importance of female hygiene. I can't go into too much detail with this one, but let's just say he went as far as bringing up the term douching. His hosting gig was so brutal that the comedian was banned for life, and he still remains at the top of their blacklist. Swiping the number 8 spot on our list is Katherine Heigl. It's been 11 years since the actress's career crumbled, or as she described it, her career betrayed her. In 2008, her career was at its peak, starring in rom-coms like 27 Dresses, which proved she was a very bankable movie star. But at the time, she was also making headlines for her work on the hit TV series Grey's Anatomy, where she took on the role of Dr. Stevens for 5 years. She was described in the media as being difficult because she made statements saying she was withdrawing herself from the 2008 Emmy Awards since she didn't consider the show worthy. In her statement, she said that the Grey's Anatomy material that Shonda Rhimes had given her wasn't enough, I quote, to warrant an Emmy nomination. She got a lot of backlash for her comments and found herself on the blacklist. She stopped booking major roles for years to come, but luckily has found herself as a working actress again, even if they aren't like the big movies that she was once making. Many companies in the industry will no longer work with her, and she tried to defend herself almost a decade later. Back in 2016, she went on the Howard Stern show to discuss what actually happened and explain that she didn't feel good about her own performance and didn't mean for it to come out as an attack on the show. no. Reports were made that she wanted out of the contract on multiple occasions, and she ended up leaving the show in 2010 due to her feelings being hurt. Taking over our number 7 spot is Kirk Cameron. The actor got introduced into Hollywood at a very young age. He was known to be a child star, appearing in many different TV shows and films at the time. He is mostly known for his role in the sitcom Growing Pains, which he starred in for 7 seasons, but also starred in movies like Listen to Me and Like Father Like Son. However, his personal life began to affect his career because of his religious Christian views. He speaks all day long about his beliefs towards religion, homosexuals, culture, and more, which has landed him on Hollywood's blacklist. His religious views erupted everywhere from Twitter to his CNN interview with Piers Morgan, where he spoke about homosexuality, saying that it was unnatural and destructive. His comments have kept him from Prime TV, and his personal documentary called Unstoppable was banned from both Facebook and YouTube, and we haven't seen him in anything for years. And at number 6 is Monique. The actress and comedian first gained popularity for her stand-up shows and for playing Nikki Parker in the UPN series The Parkers, which ran from 1999 to 2004. However, her biggest break came in 2009 when she played the abusive mother in Lee Daniels' film Precious. She earned tons of critical praise and even an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. After her big win, her resume has slumped, and she says it is because of how she handled the 2010 Oscar campaign for the movie Precious. She said that the director called her saying that Hollywood blackballed her because she didn't play the game. He confirmed this in an interview by saying, I quote, "Her demands through Precious were not always in line with the campaign. This soured her relationship with the Hollywood community." The actress said she was blacklisted by powerful people because she didn't want to campaign for the movie without receiving additional pay. Fast forward to 2018, Monique stirred the pot by urging her fans to boycott Netflix for gender and racial bias, saying that they offered her a low-balling $500,000 for a comedy special, which is significantly less than the millions that Amy Schumer and other male comedians made, such as Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Honestly, at this point, we're all kind of just waiting to see whose list she ends up on next. Halfway through at number 5 is Natalie Maines, also known as 1/3 of the Dixie Chicks band. The musician took her political views a bit too far when she decided to bash the President of the United States at the time, President Bush. While performing a concert in London, she went on a rant about his plans for the war in Iraq, which caused an outburst of rage and a ton of backlash on her career. Following her concert rant, country stations across the US decided to pull their songs from their playlists after calls from listeners came in and said that their political views weren't patriotic. Not only did they pull songs, but they also banned future songs from playing on their stations. Other country artists even got involved, like Reba McEntire and Toby Keith, who spoke out against the band. Keith and Natalie actually publicly bashed each other and their music to the media. This completely ended their careers, and they began to receive death threats and other threats of physical harm. In 2016, Natalie admits that them making a return to mainstream country music is highly unlikely. She said, I quote, "I feel like we are all tainted. I don't know if we put a tour up if people would come. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like all that backlash was just a little unnecessary. I mean, everyone has their opinions about the president no matter who it is." Here we are at number 4 with Brendan Fraser. He is best known for his roles in Bedazzled and The Mummy. He was once a very popular actor that many fans adored, but during the 2000s his career started to fade out and a lot of people were wondering why. Just last year, Brendan opened up to GQ for an exclusive interview talking about what has happened over all of his absent years. He opened up about depression after his mother's death, which led to an unhealthy lifestyle and weight gain. It wasn't until this interview that he opened up about a sexual assault incident he faced with the former HFPA president Philip Burke back in 2003. He said he held it in for all of these years but felt inspired by the current Me Too movement that is going on right now. Brendan said that the HFPA has never invited him back to the Golden Globes ever since the incident surfaced. He also says no major productions are willing to hire him either. He has no problem admitting that he has found himself blacklisted in Hollywood, but also wants to voice that the reasoning is incredibly wrong and unfair. He is still booking whatever roles he can, like some episodes on the TV series The Professionals and Doom Patrol. Alright guys, at number 3 is Stacey Dash. The actress and talk show host rose to fame after her role in Clueless and on the Fox News show Outnumbered. Nowadays she is mostly known for her very controversial views. Go figure. Back in 2008, the actress openly voted for Barack Obama for president, but then somehow made a big shift in her views between 2008 to 2012. Which is fine, everyone has a right to their political views, but she just went a little too far when she started calling for an end to Black History Month. In her statement to get rid of Black History Month, she explained why, saying, and I quote, "We're Americans, period. That's it." People were completely outraged, mainly because this comment was followed by many other outrageous and offensive comments from the actress, like speaking on the topic of transgendered people. She ended up getting fired from Fox News and since then has not been able to book any big roles because she just can't seem to keep her opinions to herself. At number 2 is Isaiah Washington, the actor who is known for his role on the famous TV show Grey's Anatomy. He found himself on Hollywood's blacklist after he made some homophobic comments at the 2007 Golden Globe Awards. This is what made his career come crashing down because he was already on thin ice for insulting his co-star TR Knight with homophobic language just a year earlier. Clearly a lesson not learned. After the incident at the Golden Globes, he was put in executive counseling, but not too long into it, Grey's Anatomy decided that he was going to be fired and his contract would not be renewed. After being fired, the actor was asked about it and his response was, I quote, "After the incident at the Golden Globes, everything just fell apart. I lost everything. I couldn't afford to have an agent, I couldn't afford to have a publicist, I couldn't afford to continue." The former television star has found a way to continue on by starring in B-list movies and any projects that he can still get his hands on. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Mel Gibson, because how could he not be? There was a time when Mel Gibson's career was in its prime when he starred in the Lethal Weapon franchise and Braveheart, but it seems like his time in big movies like those have come to an end. He is a solid example that one wrong move can take a person down, although he has had a few wrong moves. They all started back in 2006 when Gibson was arrested for a DUI in Malibu, California. The actor at the time said, I quote, "I was loaded and angry and arrested. I guess I'm not allowed to have a nervous breakdown ever." Oh come on Mel, that's not true. We let you have another one in 2010. Who could forget his horrific fall from grace in 2010 when a series of taped phone conversations between him and his then girlfriend were released. You could hear the actor verbally attacking her with profanity, threats, and racial slurs. For example, he called her an effing pig in heat and told her that he hopes she gets raped. When doing interviews about the phone meltdown, he had no problem continuing to offend people based on race, sexual orientation, gender, and immigration status. Hollywood began to lose respect for the actor, and so did his fans. He has continued to book some smaller films, and he even finances and produces his own movies, but it's been a long time since we've seen him star in a big Hollywood hit. Don't get me wrong, he's probably incredibly well off at this point, but it would have been nice to end things with Hollywood on better terms. Starting off our list at number 10 is Hulk Hogan, the legendary WWE fighter who is known worldwide for his muscle, fighting, and mustache. Hulk Hogan has a very successful career for many years through WWE, acting, reality shows, and hosting, but it more recently took a hit when his racist side came out to play. Back in 2015, he was fired from WWE after tapes that were recorded in 2007 were posted on the internet and showed him ranting about his daughter sleeping with a black man and using the N-word to state his point of view. Oh, and to top it all off, the clips of him on his rant actually came from a leaked sex tape. He took heat for his remarks for years, but was forgiven by WWE on July 15th, 2018, when they reinstated him back into the wrestling entertainment industry. They state they will continue to monitor his behavior and hope they won't have to ban him again. Although WWE was forgiving, many people in and outside of Hollywood didn't agree with their decision, especially other African American wrestlers. Just 2 days ago, Hogan spoke on the Booker T's Hall of Fame podcast about everything that happened. He said that he's still concerned that people are going to continue to hold this incident against him and states that it is still affecting his career. He recently opened up for WrestleMania 35 and has seen some forgiveness in the WWE universe, but that is just one part of the industry. The other parts aren't so forgiving. At number 9, we have Dani Mathers, a former Playboy bunny who is no stranger when it comes to people commenting on what she looks like without her clothes on. In her case though, the comments are always very positive. She even earned the title of Playboy Playmate of the Year back in 2015. However, her positive image quickly turned negative when she went for a gym session at LA Fitness. During her workout, she posted a photo on her Snapchat of a naked woman and captioned, captioned it, "If I can't unsee this, then you can't either." The post went viral immediately and she was called out for body shaming the poor older woman, who we later found out was 70 years old, so of course did not have a body that looked anywhere near like a Playboy model. The model lost her LA Fitness membership, all of her modeling contracts, and also had to appear in court where the judge stated that she showed no remorse. At the LA County Superior Court, she pleaded no contest to the charge of misdemeanor invasion of privacy and was ordered to do a whole load of community service hours. The model has since been hiding out at her mother's house to avoid the paparazzi. She has had her privacy taken away the same way she took someone else's. Coming in at number 8, we have CeeLo Green, the singer that came out with that really fun hit Forget You and also appeared on The Voice and had a show called The Good Life. His career took his first big hit back in 2012 when he was accused of sexual battery and furnishing a controlled substance. Fans went berserk when they first heard the story, but luckily he wasn't charged for the battery because there was a lack of evidence. However, he was charged with 3-year probation for the use of drugs. Once he cleared his name from the battery charge, his career got somewhat back to normal. But in 2014, he was accused of giving roofies to some females, and he responded to the stories with some very inappropriate tweets. His one tweet said, and I quote, "People who have really been raped, remember, if someone is passed out, they're not even with you consciously. So with implies consent." Immediately after the tweets were sent out, he was blacklisted from Hollywood. CBS cancelled his show The Good Life and concerts dropped him left and right. He also had to leave his role as a judge on The Voice. Since then, he has still continued to make music, but he's no longer in the limelight ever since he spoke with no class at all on such a sensitive subject. At number 7, we have Abby Lee Miller, known for being the very strict dance teacher on the hit TV show Dance Moms. She built her own dance studio in Pittsburgh and created a reality-type TV show called Dance Moms, which turned into a world sensation. The show blew up and even expanded into Los Angeles, where they continued filming at a new studio there. One of the world's biggest dancers, Maddie Ziegler, was one of Abby's dancers on the show since she was a kid. However, out of nowhere during filming, we saw that rumors had started that she was in trouble with the law. Turns out they weren't just rumors, and Abby was arrested for fraud. She was found to be hiding $775,000 that was income from the show. She was sentenced to 1 year in prison, which she was able to get down to 8 months. After she completed her sentence, she was given 2 years probation and can only live in areas approved by her probation officer. Sadly, once out of jail, she was diagnosed with cancer in April 2018 and has faced 10 rounds of chemo and 2 major spine surgeries. Abby is currently paralyzed and is learning how to walk all over again. She recently announced that she's filming another season of her show called Dance Moms Resurrection, where she will share her cancer battle with the audience. Even if Hollywood can't do business with her after her legal issues, Dance Mom fans are excited to see her back on her show. Sliding into number 6 is Stephen Collins, or as most people know him as the dad from the show Seventh Heaven. He won the hearts of many people for his role in that show, including mine, but apparently he was a very different person when he was off set. Back in 2014, the NYPD got their hands on a tape of Collins admitting that he engaged in pedophilic behavior in the past. One of his victims, a 10-year-old girl, reported that he would often expose himself in front of her. His wife at the time, Faye Grant, filed for divorce and later admitted, and I quote, "In the presence of his therapist, Stephen admitted that he has engaged in a long-term pattern of sexually abusing minor children, including sexually molesting 3 young girls over a decade ago." In 2014, the actor admitted to sexually abusing these 3 underage girls and apologized for his actions. Channels have cancelled plans that they had to rerun the Seventh Heaven TV series, but Collins was never arrested for the abuse, and I don't really understand why. Apparently he's been keeping to himself and hasn't worked in the industry ever since 2014. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Natalie Maines, one of 3 girls from the Dixie Chicks. She has never had a bad reputation, that was until she decided to publicly bash the President of the United States at the time. Oh yeah, she wasn't a fan of President Bush, and she had no problem letting the world know. At one of her concerts in London in 2002, she decided to rant about President Bush's plans for war in Iraq. Although she was probably saying what many people were thinking, she faced a lot of heat for her outburst. Country stations across the US decided to pull the Dixie Chicks songs from their playlists. Apparently they were receiving calls from listeners saying that their actions were wrong and unpatriotic. The band got back together to do small tours around Canada, Europe, and the US in 2013 to 2016, but Maines admitted that their return to being a mainstream country act is very unlikely. She said, and I quote, "I feel like we are tainted. I don't know if we put a tour up if people would even come." Now she's only in the spotlight for her current custody battle and divorce with actor Adrian Pasdar. The two have been feuding and battling with prenup issues and custody agreements, and sadly that is all the singer is known for right now. Alright guys, at number 4 we have Josh Duggar, a real life man who turned into celebrity status by having his family on the TLC show 19 Kids and Counting, which makes the situation even more horrifying because news came out that Josh had sexually assaulted multiple women when he was younger, including 4 of his own sisters. After the stories broke the news and it was confirmed to be true by his own parents, the show was quickly cancelled from TLC. A spin-off of the show was eventually made, which didn't include Josh in it obviously. Since then he has continued to make headlines, all of them being bad. Turns out he cheated on his wife with women off dating sites Ashley Madison and OkCupid. Not only does he have a lot of explaining to do to Hollywood, but he also has 19 kids who are going to, if not have already, are questioning his decisions. Here we are at number 3 with Jeffrey Jones, the actor you might recognize from the iconic movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He played the Dean Edward R. Rooney in the movie and is also known for his role in Beetlejuice. His career quickly ended back in 2002 when he was charged with child pornography as well as soliciting a 14-year-old boy to pose nude. He claimed that he was innocent, but the court didn't believe him and he was charged with 5 years probation and was also required to register as a sex offender. He didn't take the second part of his sentencing too seriously because he has since been arrested twice for not registering properly. At number 2 we have Tila Tequila, the television and social media personality that at one point had won over the hearts of many people. However, she has also said a lot of controversial things to try and get attention from people, and for most of it she did. The one that really put the nail in her coffin was in 2013 when she decided that Adolf Hitler was a guy that deserved to be praised. She posted a rant that was titled "Why I Sympathize with Hitler Part 1", where she said, and I quote, "I learned the truth about the war and what Hitler truly did, and he was not a bad person as they painted him out to be. Here is a man who was not a coward, stood up for his country in a desperate time of need, unlike all our cowardly leaders." You can imagine the chaos that caused. The internet was spiraling out of control with anger and death threats upon the celebrity. It got worse when she decided to post a picture of her and her friends in front of Auschwitz, and then a picture in 2016 of her and her friends saluting like a Nazi. Her Twitter account was suspended not long after the pictures were posted, and she was removed from the reality show Celebrity Big Brother. Taking our number 1 spot is Ian Watkins, a musician who once had a promising career with his band Lost Prophets, which was founded in 1997. The band was able to release 5 studio albums before the singer was arrested. What could the singer have possibly done? Well, he was arrested on charges of attempted rape and sexual assault on children. The most shocking parts to fans and his other band members was that he pleaded guilty to it. While in court, he pleaded guilty to 3 different charges that were related to taking or possessing indecent photos of children and 1 image of extreme bestiality. Some of the disturbing text messages from the singer's phone were shown in court and they went viral on the internet. One stomach-churning text said, "If you belong to me, so does your baby," referring to the victim's baby son. He was sentenced to 29 years in jail, and if you Google his name, all you will find is articles starting with the title "Pedophile Singer." Starting off this countdown at number 10 we have Phoebe Cates. At the peak of her career in the 80s, she would be cast in over 20 movies and was best known for starring in Gremlins and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fame came fast for the former actress, and with her new and busy career, she was thriving in the industry. So while being at the top of your career, why would you all of a sudden just end it at such a young age? Well, it turns out she was more concerned with motherhood than anything, and after trying to be a mother of 2 and a full-time actress, Phoebe decided to become a full-time mom instead. It has been 30 years since leaving the big screen, and overall she's actually kept a very low profile while also opening up her own boutique in New York City. So apparently, rumor has it that if you actually go to her boutique, you might see her in there. Moving along to the next spot at number 9 is Terrence Howard. The American actor has starred in numerous films and TV shows, but you'll probably recognize him most from the movie Iron Man or the TV series Empire. Once Terrence finished his role in the 5-year running show Empire, he vowed that he would never act again. He said that quitting acting meant that he didn't need to pretend anymore, and even though his future plans were unknown, he knew he wanted to focus on bringing truth to the world. world. Terrence would later go on more in depth of the truth of his retirement, where he says that he spent 37 years in the industry pretending to be people that he isn't. He began making discoveries of his personal life and goals, and he believes that he would rather be teaching the truth rather than fictional. A little vague of an explanation, but whatever makes him happy. I'm still not understanding the truth part. Like, let us know the truth rather than saying I want to speak the truth, you know? Moving on to number 8 is Rick Moranis. The Canadian actor may not ring a bell until you hear that he was the main character in the childhood classic Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Legendary movie. I loved that movie. That was so fun. His acting career was filled mostly by 80s comedy movies, as he starred in Ghostbusters, The Flintstones, and Parenthood. Having a successful career in the industry and well-known movies under his name, he would suddenly just disappear from the acting scene, and no one really knew why at the time. The sudden retirement was sadly due to the death of his wife, who passed away from cancer. Because of this, Rick would completely shift his time to dedicate himself to raising his 2 children, and he became a stay-at-home dad. The hiatus was only supposed to be a break, but eventually the break led to him not working on any movies ever since then. The former actor confesses that he does miss the people and nature of the film industry, as parenting is just a very different lifestyle, but he made it clear that he has no regrets about his career decisions. Moving on to the next celebrity on this list, and number 7 we have Karen Parsons. The retired actress is most known for her beloved character on the culture-defining show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. After the show ended in 1996, it would have been likely that fans would follow Karen to her other acting endeavors, but she seemingly wasn't able to find success in any other roles. After constant devastation and little to show for it, she grew very frustrated and eventually would lose her passion for acting, making her just move on to other things. She started working for a non-profit foundation called The Sweet Blackberry, which is a charity that is determined to teach children about Black history heroes through films. In 2019, she also released a children's novel called How High the Moon, and then in 2020, another book called Flying Free. Moving on to the next spot at number 6 is Peter Ostrom. You might not know Peter just by his name, but you'll definitely know him from his iconic role in the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, as he played the main character, Charlie. After filming finished, the child star would be offered a 3-movie part deal, but Peter did not sign the contract. Peter's role in Willy Wonka would be his first and his last, as he would decide to quit his acting career right before it took off at the age of 12. The quick decision would be made simply because he just fell in love with a different profession, I guess, or passion at the time, since he was 12. The former child star enjoyed watching veterinarians at work on the animals that his family had, and because of this experience, it single-handedly changed his future as he became a veterinarian himself. Giving up the spotlight to become a veterinarian may seem like an odd decision, but acting was just not his passion, he says, and he found that career passion with being a veterinarian. Damn, he really chose horses over Willy Wonka movies. Taking the halfway spot at number 5 is Angus T. Jones. You may not recognize the name because, I wouldn't, but you definitely know him as the kid from the sitcom 2.5 Men. He played in the show from 2003 all the way to 2013, and it seemed like we watched him basically grow up, as he started the show at just 9 years old, and when he left the show he was 19. At one point in 2010, he was the highest paid child star in television, so it may come as a shock to you when he left just a few years later. The real reason that the young star left the show and Hollywood in general was because he became very dedicated to his faith and actually started slamming the TV show for how vulgar it was. He was in a moral conflict by being on the show because he just didn't feel that it followed his religion. So he eventually called it quits because of his religious beliefs and became a more normal young adult by attending college. The former actor would go on to study environmental studies, but would later transfer his major to Jewish studies. Now, the former child star is living in LA and is working as president of an event entertainment company. Taking the countdown by storm, at number 4 is held by the child star Mara Wilson. You probably know her for her role in Matilda or Miss Doubtfire, but have you ever wondered where the promising young actress went? I always wondered, until I started this job and I found out. Well, she played numerous characters as a child star, and instead of continuing her acting career, she backed away from the industry at the young age of 13. Moving on to the future, in 2016, she became a writer and released an autobiography depicting her accidental fame, as she called it. The book highlighted the now retired actress and her struggle with growing older and feeling as if her appearance didn't fit the Hollywood standard. Furthermore, in her book, she states that at 13 she was faced with a decision to get cosmetic bariatric surgery, audition for cute and funny friend characters, or just accept herself and give up her acting career for good. And well, we all know what decision she made because I already said it. Now she's the full-time writer and director and has chosen a whole new life for herself. Moving on to one of the top 3 spots, at number 3 is Jack Gleeson. The former actor has only been part of a handful of roles, but one of them includes the fan favorite TV series Game of Thrones. Jack played one of the main characters in the series from 2011 to 2014, but hasn't played in anything since. Due to the success of the show, Jack had the opportunity of acting for a living full-time, but decided against it for very understandable reasons. In a statement made in an interview, Jack said that he stopped because he wasn't enjoying it as much as he used to. He mentioned that acting used to be something he did for fun with his friends or sometimes in the summer. It was once something that he very much enjoyed, but when you make a living from something, it kind of just changes your relationship with it sometimes. So once his time on Game of Thrones came to an end, he felt some sort of relief and just decided that his acting career would come to an end altogether. After his retirement, he went on to study philosophy in Dublin. Coming in our second place, we have Daniel Day-Lewis. The talented British actor has won 3 Oscars, all for Best Actor, 4 BAFTA awards, and has even been knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. But his acting days in Hollywood are over after his representative released a statement in 2017 stating that Daniel will no longer be working as an actor, adding that it was a private decision and that he will not be making any further comments on the subject. This statement was released after receiving his 3rd and final Oscar for his role in Phantom Thread. So it came as a surprise, because he just won. After being silent on the matter for quite some time, Daniel would later confess in an interview that quitting acting was something he had to do. This was due to overwhelming amount of sadness he faced while working on the film Phantom Thread. He even acknowledged that before making the film, he had no intention of quitting, so it's basically the movie's fault. Daniel also mentioned that he still can't quite figure out exactly what triggered him to quit for good after that movie, but said that he just needed to start to believe in the responsibility and values of what it means to be an actor. Now, being retired for a few years, he feels a different type of sadness, but in a good nostalgic way, he says, when looking back at his acting days. He could come back at any moment, really, right? You can leave and come back. Making our way to number 1 is Jenette McCurdy. Former child star, played a leading role in Nickelodeon show iCarly and would move on to co-star on Sam and Cat alongside Ariana Grande. That being said, her acting career would not go further beyond Nickelodeon, and it came to an end in 2014. Though it was short-lived, she had a very successful career in Hollywood, but confessed that she resented it. This resentment was due to many factors. Firstly, it was because she started acting at 6 years old, which she was put into acting by her mom, and by 10 she was the main financial support of her family. She never wanted to be in the industry, but forced herself to continue because she felt pressured to do so for the well-being of her family. The former actress grew extremely unhappy, especially when she was at the peak of her career. When she initially made the decision to call it quits, her agents and managers said that she would be crazy to leave during such a high part in her career, but she stuck to her word and she hasn't looked back since. With the 2021 reboot of her show iCarly, she still would not get involved, which fans were genuinely surprised by. But thankfully, after announcing her retirement, she went on to become a writer and director, giving her a lot more satisfaction in her career.